Hi, and welcome to this episode of the DC Life podcast. I'm Nathan.
I'm Georgie, and today we're going to chat with someone about something in the life of our church.
Well, welcome back. This week we have Hannah Simpson.
Hey.
On our
Good to have
podcast.
You.
Hi, Hannah.
Hi, I'm happy to be here, guys.
Yeah, good to see you.
And so we are here to talk about you and specifically about some of the stuff you've been doing at DC over a number of years.
It's going to be 10 at the end of this year.
10.
Wow. But before we get there, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Who is the real Hannah Simpson?
Who is the real Hannah Simpson? Well, I am married to James, and we just had our 10-year wedding anniversary at the start of this year.
Another 10.
It's exciting, yeah. I have 4 beautiful children, ranging in ages from 7 down to 1, 2 boys and 2 girls. And I am a stay-at-home mum, full-time, and I do some volunteering at DC. I am Greg and Fiona Gardner's eldest daughter, so I am the... can I say the original Gardner girl?
Yes,
you can.
Yeah, that's right. The oldest of the Gardner clan.
So it all started with you. Yeah.
Yes. So have a large family, which is awesome, and we love it. But yeah, I guess that's kind of me in a bit of a nutshell.
Well, as Greg and Fiona's daughter, and we've had a few of the family join us on the podcast already. So obviously you are part of a family who have a very strong faith in the Lord. What about you? What about your faith? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, as you know, I grew up in a family that was God-fearing, God-loving, God-worshipping family. I pretty much grew up in the church. All the time we were at the church and really loved it, loved growing up in that environment, and I knew a lot of things about the Lord growing up, so I guess I had a lot of head knowledge, and it, I guess, for me it's been more growing or God being merciful enough to open up my heart to believe those things that I knew about him, that I'd been taught about him from my family and reading the Bible and church and all of the things. I don't know. I guess there's just key moments, I guess, along the way that stick out as ones that you remember. I remember being about 15 and I had to read The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom for school, I think it was. And I just remember being really convicted after reading that book that I didn't love God. Like I knew all this stuff about him, but I didn't love him, and that, you know, they were praising God in concentration camps because he was, you know, providing ways for them to hold Bible studies and...
with bed bugs.
With the bed bugs and the fleas. And I was just there being so convicted that I was like, I would not be celebrating that I was in a barracks full of fleas. Like, to have more opportunities to tell people about Jesus, I would be complaining about the fleas. And I don't know, God just really hit me with that, and that I didn't love him. And I remember just lying there in bed and crying and crying and crying. And that was a real wake-up call, I think, for me, just because knowing stuff about God just wasn't... enough. That wasn't what, wasn't what real relationship with God, what real faith in God is, which was a good start, but it wasn't all the way there yet. It was more just showing me that I wasn't really saved. I wasn't really understanding the gospel for myself and believing in it for myself yet. But I was always very involved with the church. I was always volunteering in the music teams and the ministries, and I was involved in a chaplaincy-based ministry called Young Life. Beck and Sly were as well, and Amy growing up as a teenager and just out of school kind of years. And I think I would have been around 20, I think, when it actually clicked that Jesus' righteousness was what made me acceptable to God instead of, you know, my own, which sounds ridiculous. And I could have told you that was the gospel, I guess, like in a conversation, but it just didn't actually sink into my heart until about that point. And I remember it so clearly because there was like a sermon where it was sort of talking about something similar to that, and then it really hit me that, oh, wow, that's the whole reason why Jesus had to be perfect, so that he could give us that record of his perfect righteousness. But I was meeting up with a girl that I was discipling, I guess, from this Young Life ministry that had said she wanted to follow Jesus, and she just slept with her boyfriend and was feeling super guilty. And I remember just sitting with her one night and just trying to explain to her that, you know, when God looks at us as a Christian, he doesn't see us in our sin, he sees Jesus. And that, like in that moment, it was just like, I was explaining it to someone else, but it was like it was becoming real for me too. And it was really, really cool. Just that, I don't know, God just was able to keep showing me the things that I knew, but making it real in my heart. I cry a lot too, so you guys are probably get used to that too. I don't know. I think for the rest of my journey, there have been other moments like that where different key parts of like, just scripture will come alive in a way that like, I've known it my whole life, but it's not actually real in my heart yet. And that whole head knowledge to heart knowledge thing just becomes really alive in a way that, you know, you can't even describe. It's really cool. But the rest of my journey, I think I'm just learning how to love God and how to actually believe and walk in the things of his word instead of just knowing them, if that kind of makes sense.
And thank God that we have a living word, you know, with us, that he's left it for us, and that those really cool things can actually happen.
Yeah, they really do.
So that's awesome.
It's really cool.
Motherhood, most challenging aspect and most rewarding aspect.
Yeah, goodness. Well, there are a lot of challenging aspects.
Just one.
I know. Look,
we don't have all day.
The noise. I really struggle with the noise level sometimes. But I think the deeper answer to that question for me would probably be twofold. One, in having my sin exposed so over and over and in my face and with witnesses is difficult, and keeping my eyes on the long-term fruit and goals that you're working towards. There's no short-term gratification in parenting, in that, you know, training in righteousness and disciplining is a long-term process, and that, you know, you don't get the rewards for that instantly. You feel like you're having the same conversations over and over. So, I think they're probably the challenges that I find hardest.
What's the good stuff?
What's the good stuff? Look, their cute little bodies are just so good to kiss and cuddle. I mean, it's hard to go past that. But I don't know, there are just always the small moments through the day, like, you know, listening to them pray at night, or just actually play nicely together for a few minutes, or, you know, just enjoying doing fun things with them. They are really sweet and rewarding, and it feels wonderful to get to be part of that. And just pouring your life out into actually raising people is such a privilege. It really is, that, I'm grateful for. So,
And so, like you said, that Andy, your oldest, is 7. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep. So you've been obviously at DC since the very beginning, which is more than 7 years. So what did you serving at DC, or you just being a part of DC, look like from way back when up until today? Because it's obviously changed a few times.
It has changed, a lot over that period of time. So, I have been involved since the very beginning, since the launch team, I think we call it.
Which you just can't get out of when your last name was
no,
Gardner.
well, I mean, it's a cool story, and it's one that, it's just amazing to be a part of and see from the inside how God builds his church and is working. Mum and Dad didn't force any of us to be involved when they first started up the church, and it was a really conscious decision of James and I to come and be part of it. I started out helping out with the admin, I guess, initially. There's a lot of paperwork that's involved in starting an organisation. And so, I only worked 4 days a week at the time at a disability employment service. And so I had Fridays free, and I would come and just help out in the office and do the administration, including setting up all the finances and, just week-to-week stuff in that sort of area for the first bit. I looked after the child safe part of the church, including getting that all set up and, putting the church under that organisation and getting that started. Have always served as the board secretary and looked after all of the government sort of paperwork for a board of a company. There was that too. And I guess those things kind of all just flowed and changed as I was like having more babies, and eventually when Chloe was born, that was the tipping point for me in lots of ways, and that was July 2016. And so Angelique took over doing the administration for me then, and that was a wonderful blessing. Emily Oliver has just taken over doing the child safe coordinator job at the beginning of this year, which is awesome. So, I've got other people doing those roles now within the life of the church, which is amazing.
That is amazing. And we're very thankful to them.
Sure are.
Oh, yeah.
Sure are.
And a lot of that stuff, a lot of the roles that you've already talked about, they're very much behind the scenes, particularly when it comes to, like you said, board secretary and the paperwork, which, we just wouldn't see that much, wouldn't see that that's happening or know that that's happening. Probably the most familiar way that you've served for us, like for the people of the church, is getting to see you from time to time leading music, leading worship.
Yes. Oh, I miss it so much. Yeah, look, I was part of the original music team for DC, and we pretty much did every service at both morning and afternoon service for like
That's
4 years or something
a big
crazy,
service.
which was, it was a blast though. We loved it. Like we wouldn't have done anything else. But now I just do the occasional filling in for somebody or Christmas Eve service,
Easter,
which
Christmas.
I still love. Mainly just because James is so involved and we have 4 children and I get to look after them. But no, back in the old days it was a bit of a different story than what it is now. Beck and I would alternate playing keys and swapping who was lead singing at the front in the middle of a set, which, we would never do now at DC, but we were a church plant that had only 5 musicians, and that was all we were working with. So, but no, it was a great time, and I love music, and I love praising God together with God's people, and getting to lead them in that is really a joy and a privilege. It's a real cool part of being in the church. I really miss it. I want to go back to services.
I know.
It's killing me.
will happen.
Yeah, it's so sad. It's we've really missed worshipping together as well, and just using music as part of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Such a big thing.
Time and a season.
Yeah,
So
totally.
your current role, Hannah, is that of the Pastoral Administrator. What does that involve?
What does that mean?
What does it mean? Look, my job is a lot of the behind-the-scenes things like you were just talking about. So our church uses a database called Elvanto to keep all of the contact information for people within the life of the church. And so it's part of my job to upkeep that database, make sure that it's current and helpful to our ministry teams and to our pastors and people that are wanting to contact people within the church. I look after the membership and dedication and marriage sort of changes as well within that, and any correspondence relating to any of those kind of things within the life of the church. I do up all of the attendance statistics and do reports for the elder board on things like that, which are very exciting, but also important. It gets to track the growth of the church, which is really cool. And I don't know, I guess there's lots of other little things that come and go or pop up, in a given season, but or are even more behind the scenes than even that. But yeah, they're kind of the main sort of ones that I'm focusing on at the moment. And anything else that sort of pops up or is needed. Like when members get signed up, they get access to like a streaming service and things like that. So I send out logins for those things to new members, and just little jobs like that, that someone has to do, and on behalf of the church, and that gets to be me.
So I guess if someone's listening right now and they, for example, may not be getting emails from DC, or they may have changed their email or changed their address or changed their phone number, you're the person to talk to.
I totally am the person to talk to. Yes. I am currently going through all of our database, trying to contact everybody. It's a long process, guys, and hopefully I will get through it. But no, it's wonderful, and especially in this season where we're not actually meeting in person, it's lovely to get to touch base with most of the people from the church and update their details in our database. But I am the person. If you have changed any details, that you can let me know. That would be great.
So, why is good administration important? How does that serve the church?
Well, we want to serve our people excellently because our God is excellent. And we can't do that if we have no idea how to contact people or how to... I don't know, be able to look after things, and, we can't see how the church is growing. We can't be doing all the things required by the government for an organisation, which we want to be doing as a good witness and to obey the Lord. And so all of those require us to actually be serious about doing the administration that goes along with that, I guess. And I guess some people actually enjoy filling out forms.
That's true.
Which I do actually.
So stats can still serve.
Stats do
Totally.
serve. They do serve the church.
And I think the you look at the up the front kind of roles that are potentially can seem more glamorous and so forth, but I think that a lot of the behind the scenes stuff is equally important and so beneficial, and people, you maybe just take it for granted because we don't see a lot of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. But there is so much. Like, there's a lot of different stuff. And we thank you for that. And we thank you for all of the people who serve our church in that way, because you don't get lots of pats on the backs and things like that. But it's part of the body of Christ. It's the way that, the church has been set up, is that many people have different skills and abilities and gifts. And so we all work together to serve God and His church.
Yeah, that's good.
Totally.
So we obviously would love to see our church continue to grow, and that's really important because we want to be disciples, we want to be disciple makers. So how does the growth of the church, adding more people, how does that affect your role?
Well, it kind of just makes the role really even more important in a way, because if you don't have a good system in place for a smaller number of people, how are you going to cope with a larger number of people? So in some ways it's just preparing for that and putting enough good systems in place now so that we can serve more people well.
And we want to be faithful with the few.
Yeah, we do. We really, really do. And I'm sure that as the church grows and expands, as I've already seen in the different roles that I've done over the course of the life of DC, that, you just include more people, which is even better as well, because then there's more people that are on the team and serving the body together, and you have more people involved, which is awesome, as more and more of the jobs get sectioned off to smaller people because it's a bigger job. So I guess that would be my answer.
That's cool.
That's good. And in the general run of things, when might someone hear from you?
Well, look, if they become a member, or if they want to have their child dedicated, or getting married or stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, generally they probably won't hear from me very often. But yeah, I will go through occasionally and try and contact people to update our database, or, ask if they're willing to serve on any ministry teams if they're a member, or things like that if they're not, currently doing that, I guess. So, more just things like that.
That's good.
Yep, it's cool.
And what has encouraged you to do this role? Do you have scripture passages from the Bible which has sort of, I guess, encourage you in how you approach it and how you go day to day, or even just spending time with the Lord, the way that Spirit moves you?
I mean, there's plenty of examples of Bible passages that talk about working hard and serving the Lord. All of Romans 12, I guess, in a lot of ways too. It says in there, never be lazy, but work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically. And I want to be doing that. So I guess that encourages me to do it. But also what you were talking about before, Nathan, in just using our gifts to serve the church and to serve the Lord in that. I was thinking about I've been doing some Bible reading through Genesis recently, and there are a lot of lists of people's names in the Bible, a lot of lists of people's names in the Bible.
Genealogies.
Yes, and I mean, I understand that a lot of that, points to the fact that Jesus is from that family line too. But it's really important to God, people and lists of people, and even, other passages that aren't just talking about genealogies, like people that went to different places and did different things. Someone stood there and wrote down how many people were there and how many, and wrote down their names. And God put that in the Bible. God really cares about that. And, so I guess that encourages me too, in that, as much as it seems like writing down the attendance for this week, can just look like a number on a page. They're actual people that are sitting in a church service, and that's really cool and that really matters. And so that's really, I guess that encourages me to keep going, and that there's nothing better to do than to be serving the Lord and, using whatever time we have to keep working and blessing the church and helping to tell more people about him. So
that's great.
I guess that is what encourages me to keep going in the role.
Good.
That's very good. Well, we thank you for the time and the effort that you put into what you do, and all the other volunteers in the whole administration bucket, because it is it's appreciated, and we thank you. So keep it up.
And we'll just sit with you now for a few minutes and update our personal details with you.
I haven't got down to R yet, guys. You are towards the end of the list. I'm so sorry.
But thanks for joining us on this.
Oh, it's been great. Thanks for having me, guys.
If you'd like more information about what's going on at Disciples Church, check out our website.
Or email us at podcast@disciples.org.au if you have any questions or feedback. Thanks for listening in, and we'll see you next week.